Go ahead.
Greetings, everybody. This is Serb Team 451, and welcome back to another episode of Weeb Warriors with a new format actually being implemented
Yep.
with a new change to the logo, and it's interchangeable. So
Yeah,
if you can
because
feature
I
the
don't
individuals
actually.
talking in each episode.
Yeah, I don't actually. Okay, so little backstory here. I don't actually watch videos that I'm a part of because I don't like hearing the sound of my own voice.
Neither do I,
Um,
honestly.
so I up until the fall up until the fall tier list one, I hadn't watched one of these episodes. Um, only reason I watched the fall tier list one is because I wanted to see how like the video
It was
turned
actually
out.
the summer tier list because we're currently in
Oh yeah,
fall.
yeah, the summer tier list. But yeah, only reason I watched that one is just because I wanted to see how it turned out. Because we tried something different, and I was like, all right, let me see how it looks. Looks pretty good. So, but like I noticed, I was like, the fuck is this? What? Well, why is there a crown drawing here? What is wrong? What is
I was
wrong with
actually
this?
colored.
Well, an elementary
I didn't make
school
that.
art supply.
Well, it was something that I had handmade, and when we switched to the more podcast style,
Uh,
I had to switch there, and I didn't want to like scrounge for images, so that's why I chose the logo.
yeah, no, I got you, I got you. But
And
then,
even though it's not the best looking logo in the world, it's something that I've had for like the entirety of the run. But with the change here, we get to have like fun, just avatar versions of ourselves. Jay's
yeah,
already had his for as long as he's been doing YouTube, and Jordan and I never really had like avatars. So when Jay proposed actually giving us some avatars, I thought I would make things more unique and fun, and so I can wear a mask that I actually own.
yeah. So all I had to do, I just had to send Elizabeth a picture of the mask. She was able to do it. Luckily, she already had like a white guy avatar made because she made one for our friend Ty, aka Mr. Multiverse, as well. Because he asked me for help with redesigns when he wanted to rebrand his channel. So she and I put together that, and so we already had a white guy model. So yeah, it was pretty easy to fix yours up. Just had to add your
Hmm.
specific features.
You guys didn't make one for Brian?
Oh, we already made one for Brian. Brian, yeah, Brian's has been made a long time ago because me and Brian do a podcast together as is. So like, we already had Brian's. Um,
Yeah, so it's kind of amusing that when you mention a white guy avatar template, I was
uh,
like, doesn't Brian have one?
yeah, but you are more similar in facial features to Ty than Brian. Um,
Hmm. Not not anything against Brian, but his face is more pudgy.
all right. I'm glad Brian doesn't watch these. Anyways, so yeah,
Well, he's not in like malice, but it's just an observation.
but yeah, so fall season has officially started, you guys, and I gotta say it's quite the strong start. Quite
I
the strong
I'm
start.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, yo. 2020 has kind of been a whack year for anime. Obviously, the Rona doesn't help, but at least in my opinion, I don't know if you agree with me, Tony, but 2020
Well,
has
there
been,
have been some breakout shows this year in 2020.
yeah,
I feel more inclined to agree with you that I think because of COVID, uh, 2020 as a year for anime didn't live up to its potential.
yeah. I mean, like obviously, like you said, there were a few breakout shows so far, but like as a whole, especially in comparison to past years, 2020 has been kind of whack. But luckily, the fall season seems to be the redemption arc for 2020, because
I mean, with a lot of countries kind of stabilizing due to COVID.
especially Japan. Japan seems to be
Mhm.
pretty in pretty good spirits.
And I've been keeping my ear and eyes on like various anime news channels,
Hmm.
also on related articles and whatnot. Some actors have tested positive for COVID in the past, but they seem to like get back to work as quickly as they possibly could after recuperating and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Toei had to basically shut their buildings down when a few actors of the most current Sentai series, Machin Sentai Kara Major, uh, when one of their actors, which coincidentally was Kirame Red's actor, tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a solid precaution. But yeah, so we don't have all access to all the shows yet. Most of the stuff drops. Most of the rest of the stuff drops next week. The other remaining shows that we have on the list, but we've got 5. I've only watched 3.
And the other 2 shows that, even though it was one show was I wanted to bring to your attention because it came from that we both enjoyed.
Yep.
Which was the author of Ayate the Combat Butler's new manga, Konikawa.
Yeah, it does have an interesting premise.
And you did not realize that Moriarty the Patriot, which was on Funimation, had its episode 0, which was basically a pre-screening for episode 1.
Oh, it's just so it was just a 0. Okay, because I was pretty sure that the release date for that was supposed to be next week. Okay.
Yeah, actually.
Okay, so episode 1 is next week. Okay, gotcha.
Which means it was episode 1 shown a week early.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense.
So, since I already know what happened in episode 1, you would just have to watch it for yourself, Jay.
Okay, cool.
No, but I will say, just to kind of keep things very vague for you, and for the audience as well, I might as well start with Moriarty the Patriot. Thoughts. Even though, because you can actually confirm that I've said this in previous episodes before, like, fall actually started.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really feeling a lot of the shows this season.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why me and Jordan had to make most of the decisions on what shows to cover. So that was one that caught my eye, just off of premise alone.
And I actually watched it. I actually liked the way they're actually taking this series.
So would you say it's Subarashi?
Yes,
to quote the old man himself.
Which I have him in my Chaldea.
I had to. I'm gonna use that in my reviews, and only people who play Fate are gonna know. But it's still gonna be there. But yeah,
I will say, just to kind of give a basic synopsis. Episode.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's technically episode 0, but it's the first. But it's just pre-screening. So we follow Moriarty and his brother Lewis when they're going through a case of recent child murders. And you would assume that Moriarty is doing it for altruistic reasons. Well, not necessarily. He is the professor. He is Professor Moriarty, the Lord of Crime, after all.
Yeah.
And the R21 Sherlock Holmes. But I would love for you to actually check this out, because if you thought this was going to be a detective story with Moriarty as the lead, no. I mean, parts of it does have this very detective noir stuff set in the world of London at that time.
Okay. I do like a good noir.
From a different perspective.
Okay.
It's not
interesting.
The typical detective story in anime or in any other like detective stories where we focus on a law-abiding citizen. We focus on
it's a detective-esque story from an underworld perspective. Interesting.
Yes. So
Okay.
I would love for you to actually watch the episode for yourself, Jay.
Yeah,
So
I'm
you get
very
the full
intrigued.
scope because the mystery itself, albeit since it was just a mystery in 20 minutes,
Hmm.
they actually did very well with that.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
So the story itself is its crux. It's the mystery and how Moriarty, which, by the way, as a character, William James Moriarty is a fucking legend.
Would you say that like this is like a case of the week style type anime, or does it have an overarching plot?
Uh, just from the first episode alone, I would say it might be a case by case
Okay, I'm cool with that.
series. I'm not 100% sure. It's just
I think with mystery shows, I think that's a better format anyway. So I'm cool. I'm cool if it is that way. All right,
But
interesting.
I will say that within this first episode, we only get to see Moriarty and his brother Lewis.
Okay, cool. So we don't get to see the Mycroft.
Character named Albert.
Okay, so we don't get to see
Albert.
the boys that his family adopts, who I'm assuming
Yes.
are the Holmes brothers. Um,
Yes.
okay,
We don't get to see. We didn't see them in this episode.
okay, cool, cool, cool.
It
All
was
right,
mostly just Moriarty solving a mystery with because of murdered boys.
all right, interesting. Okay, so we'll move on from Moriarty, the Patriot, to something that I have been excited for about a year now. Since you took this one, I'll go ahead and take the reins on this. And this is, of course, the latest work from Bleach's mangaka, Taite Kubo, Burn the Witch. It is not
Which
a.
I did watch.
Mhm. It is not a full anime series, but instead it is a 3 episode OVA special. And because it is not a full manga, Kubo plans to release this in massive 4 chapter chunks. So each chapter is about like I want to say like 50, 60 pages, and there are 4 chapters in total, not counting the pre-chapter, like the pre-release one shot. Um, but yeah, so I've been really excited for this because I mean I wasn't a massive Bleach fan. I enjoyed Bleach a lot. Obviously, I grew up in the early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s. So Bleach was a big part of my childhood. A lot of quality waifus from there. And out of the quote unquote big three, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, I think Bleach was the best in terms of stylistically. It looked the coolest. The attacks were super cool. I thought the fights were awesome. But the story was kind of bare bones. And that was mostly because, if we're being honest, like even as a fan, Kubo lost direction pretty early. And he kept being rushed by Jump to put stuff out. And I mean, that's not his fault. That's just more of the grueling, work style schedule of Shonen Jump. And Akira Toriyama has talked about it. Yoshihiro Tagashi has talked about it. Hell, even the big man himself, Eiichiro Oda, has talked about it. So like Jump is pretty stressful. Kubo ended up getting rushed out, which is why the final arc for Bleach in the manga was kind of garbage. Luckily, he is working directly for the final arc in anime form, so hopefully they'll get to flush that out a little bit more. But with this one, he was well rested. He got to take all the time he needed and actually develop a world. And something very interesting about Burn the Witch is actually it takes place within the same world as Bleach. You see, it's kind of like, and I made this analogy in my review. It's basically the equivalent of like what Fantastic Beast is to Harry Potter, right? It's the more global spin-off to the major beloved one, because Burn the Witch takes place in the western branch of the Serete or the Soul Society, and it takes place in a kind of parallel dimension called Reverse London. And obviously, Kubo is a huge Harry Potter fan. He's talked about it in interviews. I mean, the first scene of the anime is straight up like one of our main leads, Nini, going into Reverse London, full on Diagon Alley style. So that was pretty awesome. My one complaint about this OVA special personally, and this is just coming from somebody who's read the manga. I had no problems following it because I read the chapters, but I feel like if you're just going into this blind, if you read nothing, they kind of just throw a lot of terms at you and expect you to follow. I mean, it's not hard, but also it's a lot. Um, which is why I spent a lot of time in my review kind of explaining some of the smaller details that they got to actually mention in the manga. But of course, each episode is only 30 minutes, so they only had enough time to just get the beats down. And overall, I thought it was really cool. The concept of Reverse London is pretty epic. I love all the dragon-centric lore. As usual, Kubo has very memorable character designs. The world looks really cool. The animation was pretty on point, and I just really enjoyed how they were able to bring this world to life. I still, I said this for both the manga and the OVA. I can't stand Balgo. Balgo is the biggest simp I've ever seen in my life, and he's also an oblivious dumbass, and I really don't like him. I wanted Bruno to kill him so bad.
This man got on my nerves.
Yeah, I hate Balgo. I really do. Like, he's just over here drooling over Noelle, and I get it. Noelle's hot. But like, come on, man. But his dragon doggo is adorable. I will give him that.
Yeah. Oshushi, this fucking thing is adorable.
Yep. And
the dog has a fetish for panties.
I was gonna say, and he is a doggo of culture. Like, he also gets extra points for being a dog of culture. So that was pretty hilarious.
I think, coming from my perspective, I didn't read the source material. I just went in blind. I was able to actually keep up with everything.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm just saying that they threw a lot of terms at the audience at one time,
I mean, I didn't have any issues with it because I was like, okay, so if they mean by this, they're using some form of like fucky magic. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you're familiar with Bleach, a lot of the basic core concepts and principles are very similar because it takes place in the same world. So it's not super hard to follow, but they do throw a lot of world building at you within the first 5 minutes.
Here's something that I found interesting in the fight scene with Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
When Bruno does his style of fight, like using his magic, he actually says the Japanese way of doing numbers. Yep. And our main leads actually use the English way of saying the numbers.
Yeah, Bruno is actually natively from Japan. So, yeah.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, like, Nini and Noelle are native Londoners, but Bruno was born, I believe Bruno was born in Japan, but then moved to London and later reversed London when he, discovered.
Mm-hmm. But he has a very Western name.
Well, yeah, I think his parents were American, which is why one of his parents was American, which is why he ended up going to London. There was whole little mini character paragraphs in the back of the chapters. I didn't read them all, but I could be wrong, and I could be wrong about this.
Backstory that he's native Japanese. His when he says his numbers, they're in Japanese instead of in English. Okay. Yep. I didn't know that part. I thought okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a cool little tidbit. And also, Bruno's dragon Reichenbach is fucking epic. I love Reichenbach. Yeah, Reichenbach's design looks awesome.
That's great. Although my favorite dragon is Marshall.
Marshall's a good boy. Marshall's definitely a good boy. He hangs in there.
By far my favorite character in this OVA series, fucking Nini. I love this bitch.
Nini is, your typical shonen protagonist, hyper aggressive, loud.
No. This bitch, I love her personality. Just as a juxtaposition to her friend Noelle. Well, I would say frenemy.
Yeah,
just the way she presents herself and the way she just carries, The
And
one
she
scene that
and
made me really
she
love
has
this
a very
character.
interesting dichotomy because Nini is the lead singer of an idol group. So during her day to day she has to be all cutesy, you know, bubblegum pop and all that, but her real self is all edgy, aggressive, and angry. Um,
Yeah, and like, but by far my favorite scene is where she is chasing after Noelle and fuck Nugget,
mhm.
and she's just fly. She's just riding on her dragon, just hanging off of Marshall, like she doesn't give a fuck in the
That's
world.
because Nini is perpetually done with everybody's bullshit. I appreciate that about her. She's
I
really
love
fun.
that.
Um,
I love characters that are unabashedly themselves.
and I also really enjoy Noelle, which is surprising because I'm not normally into the Kudere, but damn, Noelle is just so damn cute.
There's much of a kudere. She actually showed bits of emotion. It's very subtle, but there were tinges of
Oh
emotion
yeah, I mean,
more. So she's not a complete kudere.
especially towards the end where she tried to kill Osushi for trying to sneak a peek at her panties or whatever. That was
Which we
hilarious.
as the audience ended up doing.
Yep. I mean, yeah, the directors knew their angles for sure. But yeah,
But the
no.
one thing I can say is I like the idea of each of the members of the Sabers. Actually, because I noticed something when I was looking at the designs of the different insignias.
Hmm.
Those are the Western zodiac signs.
Yep. Just like how the whatchamacallit, the Gote 13, I think was based off of the Chinese zodiac for Bleach. It's a parallel for the universe because this is the Western branch of the Serate versus the Eastern branch, which is
Which is interesting that London
mhm,
instead of like
America.
other Western cities like
Yeah,
in America.
you would expect it to be America because Kubo really loves America. Kubo throws a lot of American references in his shit. Well, especially Bleach.
There's Spanish words in fucking Bleach. It's
Oh
hilarious.
no, and Chad was my favorite character, and then they shafted Chad. But that's besides the point. Also,
But
we didn't get to talk about my personal favorite character of the show.
oh, the chief.
Chief. Chief is the man.
Yeah, this man.
he
I
seems
looked
like a
at him
bumbling
like
idiot. He seems
motherfucker
like
looks like a legend.
He seems like a bumbling idiot, but this dude literally took out a legendary dragon with a finger blast. Like, come
The
on.
fucking saber with I think it's Scorpio.
Yep.
Because it's the M with the little like spiky tail.
Mhm.
Because I think that's Scorpio. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not as big into astrology, so I'm gonna just trust you on that one.
It's just me because she just looked at them like, okay, son of the hero or junior.
Yep.
Like what? Like I want to know more about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Seriously, Chief has a lot of history to him that I want to know about. And I was gonna say, like, when I read the chapter, I was like, okay, there's no way Kubo's just gonna leave it here. This isn't it, right? They're definitely gonna put out a season 2, and Kubo has confirmed that there will be a season 2.
I mean, introducing well, the one character that I just couldn't stand because I mean the voice actors that they picked for the character fit well with like the design. Macy just irked me in a way. I'm like, I am so uninterested with this
Macy
character.
is just as annoying as Balgo, but Balgo
I
is
looked at
slightly
her and
more.
I'm like, bitch, quit simping so hard. I mean, yeah, Nini is like the shit, but you don't need to be simping hard for her.
Yep.
I
No,
mean, did
that's
we have like confirmation for the sexual preferences of our lead
Well,
ladies?
I mean, at least we know for a fact, Macy, like, Nini even says straight up she's in love with me. So yeah, we know that at least Macy is either bi or gay. Um, so
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. Nini and Noelle
we
themselves.
do not know. We do not know at all. There's no indication
That's kind
either
of what
way.
I was just trying to look into. And like, I mean, is Nini just annoyed with the fact that Macy is too overly aggressive to pique her interest, or she's just not into that.
I
That's
think
kind of the
I
curious.
think I think it's more of the like you need to stop being a fucking yandere and chill out more than like I'm not into you. I think she likes her, but it's just like you're too much.
Yeah, it's just from inferring the way the two characters interacted with each other is just I kind of get this vibe of like you're too much. What the fuck are you doing? Just shut the fuck up.
Nah,
And
big
it's like
facts.
most people who tell me when I'm trying to be like it's like me interacting with some women.
But
Like I
yes,
know I can be a bit much, but if I'm like overly jealous when females, I was more it. I was like, I see like the girl I'm crushing on with another chick. I'm like, who the fuck is this hoe?
but yeah. So overall, really enjoyed the Burn the Witch OVA. I'm excited to see more. Um, and
Oh, I didn't get the name of like fucking Noel's dragon.
I don't think Noel's dragon's name was dropped.
Is it named in the manga?
Um, Flipping through the chapter. No, only Nini calls her dragon by name. I know it is named. I believe it's in like the little data information in the back, but I don't feel like flipping through that. Um,
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'd say out of like the dragon designs, I really love the way Cinderella looks.
Cinderella looked awesome, especially the fully matured form. That was pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
I said, Reichenbach. Plus, the name Reichenbach is just super fucking epic because obviously it makes you think of Reichenbach Falls. We were
Yeah.
just talking
I
about
really,
Moriarty.
and I love the look of that dragon, even though Reichenbach is fucking pudgy.
Yep, he looked pretty badass. He definitely could eat you whole. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite dragon in terms of like, even though I think our leading ladies, two dragons, really showed too much personality because they were essentially just transport.
oh yeah, mm-hmm.
A little bit of Marshall's personality.
But yeah,
And
everything and an interesting fact they don't really show too much in this OVA is that everything, like all the different pieces of technology, it's kind of Flintstones esque. Everything is powered by dragons. Electricity. They even have these little potted plants that are little like plant
oh,
dragons.
they showed those off at the end credits
Oh yeah,
actually.
yeah. Yep, and they showed
And
I know they showed like the advertising blimp dragon and some of those.
uh, like the first dragon that appeared in episode one with it kind of looks like one of Toothless's
It
brethren,
does look like Toothless. Yeah, yep. Straight up.
but it's like the female white one from
Yeah. From the last movie, yeah, the third one.
yeah, and I looked at that like that thing is supposed to be the dark dragon, and then when its face came off, I'm like, well, shit, okay,
Yep. Yep.
and I'm like, well, damn, I never thought to invest
Listen,
since
say what you
she.
want about Taite Kubo, but the man is really good with character design.
Oh no, what I'm saying is that it has been a very long time since I got invested into an OVA series
Yeah.
since Tenchi,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I think the last time I like was really like really into an OVA series was Kata no Kyokai, and that was like 10 years ago.
true. I mean, the one thing I could say is that the characters look great. Kubo, even though I saw some episodes of Bleach, I mean, I admire the man's style.
Yeah, dude.
It's fucking
Stylistically,
great.
Kubo is one of the best. I mean, straight up. I mean, like even if he thinks he's slick, but he's really not, because Noel is just a gender bent version of Byakuya Kuchiki. I looked at Noel. I was like, wait, I have seen this design before, but he was a dude. And I looked at it. I was like, yup. This is just Rule 63 Byakuya. I mean, I'm not mad at it because apparently Byakuya is very attractive as a woman. But I see what you did,
Oh,
Kubo.
I mean, I gotta say this about Kubo. Like, the big-breasted women that he draws, their proportions are ridiculous.
I mean, but that's the fun. Have you not seen One Piece?
Oh,
Clearly, you
I've seen
haven't seen.
One Piece. Are you for real, bro?
I was gonna say, clearly you have not seen One Piece then, because
I've seen One Piece, and if I were to mention One Piece in like the breast physics in that show, I mean, I ain't complaining, but I'm just saying, well, I did say in Bleach, I'm like, God damn, titty monster, what? Calm the fuck down with those.
nah, yep, nah.
Like, all the
Oda is clearly
same, Oda, like,
1000% a boob man because
yeah,
especially
I don't think that,
post time skip, Nami just went from like modest to just bam. I'm
like,
like, dang.
wham bam hit the clamps will choke you.
Yep. But yeah, so anyways, that's Burn the Witch. So what do you want to do next?
Well, actually, I want to talk. Well, since you didn't have the time to check out this show, I might as well get this out of the way too.
Okay.
Tonikawa, Fly Me to the Moon.
Fly
As I
me
alluded to
to
earlier at the start of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
this is the combat butler.
Yeah, nice.
And so, it's an interest. The first episode kind of like lays it out. Our main protagonist in this story, one half of the married couple, albeit it can be a bit like when you look at the age discrepancy of the two characters. I just saw it as very wholesome because the show itself is wholesome. Because it's a marriage between our 18-year-old male lead and our 16-year-old female lead.
16 and 18 isn't bad. That's only like 2 years. I mean, and besides, also Japanese culture, a 16-year-old is pretty much
I'm
considered an
like,
adult.
I only noticed that because wait a minute, because there's actually a moment where they signed the forms and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like it was a blink and you miss hit shot, and I'm like, wait a minute, like look, I rewind the episode, and then I didn't read. I'm like, oh no.
I mean, that's not a big deal when you consider this is in Japan. I mean,
Sure.
and also like it's a 2 year age difference. It would be really weird if it was like a 30-year-old man marrying a 16-year-old.
Yeah, and I mean, the show itself presents it in such a way that it's more wholesome than like disgusting.
Yeah.
The show itself, you just have to watch it for yourself because you get this overwhelming feeling of wholesomeness, even though our male lead guy. But I should get to the actual episode, but I just want to bring this point out ahead of time so you weren't like, "What the fuck, Tony? Why did you show me this?"
No, I mean, no, look, if the age difference was huge, then I would have a problem. But like, if he's 18
Sure.
and she's 16, that's 2 years. Me and my girlfriend are like 2 years apart in age. Like, that's not a big deal.
Well, me and my lady friend that I'm talking to are 2 years apart from each other when she reaches 30, so which would be in this month. But that's besides the point. But still, I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's so it doesn't like sideswipe. So we are introduced to I think it's Yukari or Yukari. Well, anyway, I'll just go by his name because his parents are a real fuck. I should say they picked the because he goes into his his birth and how he got his name, which is NASA.
NASA.
NASA. So his parents wanted to give him a name that's connected to the starry sky, which with the sky. And then everyone and their mother basically laughed at this poor kid when he was 5 for having the same name as the American space program.
All right.
So he made it his mission to basically excel to no end to make sure he is even better than that NASA.
So did he become an astronaut?
No, he finishing up his school, where he wanted to go to the high school of his choice, and he had no other options. He said, "I'm going to this school." But as he was walking away, because he reached the top of his class,
Uh huh.
and so he was walking down the street where he saw this girl that caught his eye. And she was so beautiful to him that he just kind of lost, and she was about to be hit by a moving car, and he ended up getting hit instead.
And he didn't get isekai? I'm shocked. Truck Kun is not
He
doing
didn't
their
get
job.
isekai. Yeah, he didn't get isekai.
Huh.
But he compared a girl that he just met that pretty much saved his life, that got him out of the way, that moved him out of the way of the moving vehicle, well, out of the way of the vehicle that just hit him. She was just this visage of Princess Kaguya from The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter
Makes
to him.
sense. I mean,
And
with all the moon imagery
so,
and space and stuff. Yeah.
well, the subtitle of the show
Yeah, Fly Me
is
to the Moon, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she just, after making sure he was all right, that the guy who was driving called emergency services, she just walked off like Princess Kaguya at the end of the story. And he's like, I got to know this girl's name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in love with her. Let's do it. So, hopped up on adrenaline, basically told the guy, like, don't mind, you can fuck off. And the guy's like, but wait, I just hit you with my, you should go to the hospital. And he's like, no, I gotta tell her that I love her. I'd have to do all this stuff. And the driver's like, what are you talking about? Like, you need to go to the hospital.
Are you on crack? You almost died.
And so he goes to find the girl of his dreams with Mikasa Tsukuyomi.
Huh, Tsukuyomi. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
her name, and yeah. And then he, after his adrenaline was all done, come to find out both of his legs were broken, and then he started bleeding again after she cleaned him up and whatnot.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah. I mean, the art style is, it's a very cutesy art style. If you haven't seen Hayate the Combat Butler, folks, Jay and I can attest that it has a very cutesy art style.
Oh yeah, I definitely if it's similar, I mean obviously it would be because it's the same mangaka, but yeah, Hayate the Combat Butler very much has like a very, not necessarily entirely moe, but moe-esque art style.
Well, just seeing our male lead is like a weird juxtaposition because of the art style.
Yeah.
And he said, will you please go out with me? And like, just after getting cleaned up and whatnot, she's like, yeah, I will, but you have to marry me. I'm like, okay.
Wait. I think she skipped a whole bunch of steps there.
Yeah, she did, and he just jumped on it like a fucking shark on blood.
Well, you know.
And that's when he had to go to the hospital. He recovered for a couple weeks. He didn't get in, but he entered. And when he reached his 18, it was left. Tsukasa Kiyomi with a marriage form.
Nice.
And so after he signed the usual Japanese thingamajig, and they go to the word office so they can make things official by, award and whatnot.
Oh, so it's basically the same kind of like principle as like in the states where you get married at the courthouse. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's similar. And they have like light not in. Also, why the fuck are we going now? Why don't we wait until the morning? And Tsukasa explains that a lot of actors and idols and whatnot come late at nights before when it comes to marriages.
Interesting.
And that's what I thought too. And I'm like, okay,
I
cool,
wonder if that's an actual
cool.
thing.
I'm sure it is. I mean, it would make sense because to get out of the public hitched. I mean, it's in logical sense.
Yeah. Okay.
And the word officer, seeing over it, noticing his age, he's like, "Well, do you have permission from married?" And she just hands him this envelope, saying yes, and here's the information here that you need. And like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you two are officially married. There you go. Here's your plant. I'm like, it's that easy?
Huh.
Even NASA's like, well, I never thought it was that easy.
So all she, so they get that's what they get for getting married, a plant. Interesting.
Yep, because it's customary to give married couples at least something as a wedding gift. So
Yeah.
they thought, oh, plants will work just fine.
Okay. Cool.
And she, Tsukasa adapted very well to her new surname very well because she kept repeating it every time as they were going to the word office and leaving the word office. But overall, even though the age discrepancy is only by a couple years, it still feels kind of But the show itself is so wholesome that we're dealing with somebody for the first time in his life, meeting his Princess Kaguya. He's just kind of like beside himself, like, really? I'm actually married to the guy I pretty much met by chance and almost died for?
I mean, that's a pretty epic love story if I ever heard one. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I'm like, barring like the car accident at the beginning, this show is wholesome. He got like he got so excited just by holding her hand. He was like, I've never held a girl's hand before. Girls' hands are soft.
That's so cute. Oh my god.
Yeah, and then when she said, "Hey, do you have two futons at home?" Like, and he's like, "No."
Oh.
She's like, "Okay." So he went into it like he spiraled and like, "Oh, are we gonna share my bed tonight?" Like, what's gonna happen?
Oh. You poor sweet summer child.
And I'm oh, he is like new to this stuff. I'm like this.
That is a
I
really
like
cute.
this,
That is a really cute.
and I knew this was And I knew this would be a show that you would enjoy, Jay. That's why I recommended it to
Oh yeah,
you.
no, this sounds like it would be up my alley for sure. I'm definitely gonna check
And
it
even
out.
though, like I said before, this is an 18-year-old guy married to a 16-year-old girl. It's just a discrepancy of 2 years, but still, it's something that I wanted to point out to
Oh
you
yeah, yeah. No, I mean like,
beforehand.
so I see this would I wouldn't have a problem. I don't have a problem with this because it takes place in Japan. If this was set
Yeah,
in America, then I'd be like,
oh, yeah,
yikes.
definitely. And Japan's very different culturally. I knew just in the culture alone, it's not that bad.
Yeah, because I mean,
Actually,
16 in Japan is the equivalent of 18 in the States.
yes,
So
which I saw that it wasn't that big of a deal. So, and these people, like these two characters, are getting married. Discrepancy,
yeah,
but
yeah.
still, since we're Westerners with Western sensibilities, we would automatically think that it's a bit icky, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I get you, but yeah, but I mean,
But
I think because I love Japan so much, and I've researched the culture and obviously been exposed to it a lot through anime. This doesn't bother me as much as some of the other stuff that is more normalized in
yes,
Japan.
right, and I kind of share that.
Like, okay, my
So
only thing, she doesn't look like a lolly, right? Like, as long as she doesn't look like a lolly,
she she doesn't. Well, the characters themselves, like, they don't really show height all that well.
okay,
I mean, she's very modest in like the chest region.
okay,
I mean,
but she doesn't look like a lolly.
she's a bit taller. Well, only a tad bit shorter than
Okay, so she.
if
Okay, that's all I care about. As long as she doesn't look like a lolly, we're cool.
does not look like a lolly.
Okay,
And this is a female character with striking red hair.
nice, nice. Um, but
But
yeah,
still, Tonikawa, Fly Me to the Moon, actually a good, wholesome show.
nice, nice.
Very good, very wholesome. Actually impressed me with how well it did to just
Okay,
impress me.
so since you talked about a wholesome episode, I'll talk about a wholesome episode. Let's jump to Don Machi season 3, episode 1, and the introduction of the biggest, most precious cinnamon bun I have ever met, at least on that particular show. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I'll actually go into talking about the episode proper.
Uh-huh.
I love Donmachi so much.
Yeah, Don Machi's great. Honestly, season 2 was solid. I feel like it kind of lost its teeth at the end because they
I
took.
mean, I can see from your perspective because I watched your review on this episode in
Yeah.
particular today,
Mm-hmm.
and I share a lot of your sentiments, but I can sell on the way things in season 2
Mm-hmm.
for Donmachi because I think the point of the story was to show that yeah, anyone can be a hero, but knowing that Haruhime didn't like bone anybody, it was more like one of the other character, like the female character that was like under that took Haruhime under her wing in the Ishtar Familia.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much wanted to keep her as wholesome as she possibly could.
No, and I understand that, but also
And
it
I
it felt a little. It also felt a little slut
anyone
shamey. You know what I mean? Oh, see,
true.
she's a good girl
I mean,
after all. She didn't have sex. Like,
I mean, I didn't interpret it as that. The way I see it is that the Ishtar Familia is very connected, which Ishtar is the goddess of war, love, sex, fertility, all that stuff.
yep, yep, yep.
And they didn't present it in a negative way, even though she was kind of the antagonist of the story,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, the true antagonist of the series is Freya, so.
Who is also another goddess of sex, love, and fertility.
The way they presented Ishtar was. I really liked that, and a lot of her familia members showed a lot of character and principle.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Like,
for sure.
and I think that was the point that they wanted to convey
No, I mean,
more so
I get
than.
that for sure.
And I kind of see it from that perspective. I'm like, I agree with like your arguments in that particular review for season 2,
Mm-hmm.
but I just want to say from the perspective of like a story perspective and the way the characters interacted with each other, that's the way, in my mind, the way I saw it kind of made sense.
No, I get what you're saying. But yeah, so
But
this,
on to, on to season 3, episode 1.
yeah.
So,
So,
Jay, regale us with what happened in this episode.
all right. So, as I said earlier, this episode introduces us to the biggest, most precious cinnamon bun I have ever seen, at least on this particular show, and that is, of course, Vine, the dragon monster girl. Um, so it's kind of in the similar like story beat vein as the arc with Haruhime, but we actually get to explore human and monster like the relationship between human and monsters, because obviously all throughout the show so far, Bell and his crew have been fighting monsters in the dungeon, and that's just kind of the standard thing, right? And as far as we knew up to this point, monsters don't really have sentience. They're just mindless beasts that obviously the dungeoneers have to fight in order to clear the floors and such. Um, and so, you don't really think anything of it. But then, we end up, Belle ends up stumbling upon an injured Vine, who is unnamed at this point, and she's naked, bleeding, and scared. She's trembling, being chased by other adventurers. And so, Belle, being the white knight gentleman that he is, and I don't use white knight as an insult in this context, but being the white knight gentleman that he is,
Bell is a wholesome dude.
yeah, he's very wholesome. He covers her up. He protects her. He, lies and says that, she's a member of his party and that she needs medical attention. And obviously, with most other adventurers being assholes, they're just like, that's not our fucking problem. Let's go find the monster. And so they go off. And so, he takes her into the Hestia Familia. And obviously, with everybody else being adventurers and, kind of just normal ass people, they're like, what the fuck? What is Belle? Why'd you bring a monster here? It's a fucking. We gotta kill it. It's a monster. That's what we do. But she's just so adorable. And then, like, of course, Haruhime being judged by her past and her past actions, even though she empathized with Vine, and so like Belle and Haruhime kind of serve as like a mother father figure to this precious little dragon baby, and it's so cute. It's just so damn cute.
But choosing Vine, I'm like, well, damn, Hestia, you actually jumped the not a raving bitch.
I really appreciate that. Showed me character development with Hestia, because normally Hestia is like, normally Hestia is like, hey, no one gets to touch my Belle but me. But then she realizes, oh, it's a little innocent dragon baby. No. You're cool. You're cool. I'm gonna let you in here. You're wholesome.
And I looked at Hestia and I'm like, is this character growth, Hestia?
Yeah, right.
Well, damn, our goddess.
And also, you can tell that, like, she knows something that the others don't, obviously, because she's a goddess and she was there when monsters were created and such. So, she is obviously keeping a little something from the cast, which I'm interested to see how that plays out. And we see that, the Titan Lord himself, Kronos, or not Kronos, Uranus, the Sky Titan.
So the father of
Kronos.
Titan.
Yep.
Yes. And Uranus, let me actually, this is kind of my bread and butter. I know it's your bread and butter too, but for those of you who either don't want to know but are going to hear the story anyway, and for those of you who actually want to know and find this fascinating, let me spin you a yarn about the Greek creation myth. So, basically, we had the concepts of the void, and Tartarus, which itself is a god, and also a place in the underworld. He was created, Erebus and Nyx were created, creating darkness, the night, all this stuff. And from this nothingness came Gaia and Oranos. Oranos being the sky, and Gaia being the earth.
Yep.
Of these two created the Titans. And Oranos pretty much ruled the world with a bit of an iron fist. So Gaia, fed up with her husband's nonsense, told her son Kronos to castrate his father and took his place as ruler of the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of dick chopping in this cycle because Kronos also gets castrated, and from the foam of his castrated penis.
No, Oranos is technically the father of Aphrodite. It's
So it was Uranus' penis that made Aphrodite. Okay,
no, it's actually
I thought it was Kronos.
no. Kronos had a different fate.
Oh, okay.
So Oranos, being the god of the skies, had his balls ripped off from a scythe that was the known weapon of Kronos, his son, and from his nuts turning into sea foam, which created Aphrodite. And Kronos, we all know, is the Titan who ate his children by marrying his sister Rhea.
Yep, but luckily Gaia managed to protect Zeus long enough for Zeus to free his siblings and then kill Kronos and continue the cycle of patricide. Um,
Well, technically, Kronos didn't die. Or Uranus didn't die either.
yeah, technically, no.
So basically, the line of succession only changes hands due to some circumstances that the parental figure, the father figure pretty much did an egregious act towards his children and the children of the world.
But yeah, going back to the main plot of the story, we discover slowly but surely that unlike other monsters, Vina she learns speech pretty quickly. She actually is very sweet and wholesome. She just wants to play and have fun, eat things, and she feels very bad when she accidentally hurts Belle when she gets a little too overexcited. And then with Welf's help, they trim down her claws so she doesn't hurt anybody, and she personally feels awful for hurting other adventurers in the past. She explains it that she kind of like blacks out. She sees red, and it's kind of like she's not in control of her own body. It's kind of like in a dream state where she watches it happen, but she can't stop herself from doing it. It's pretty interesting. So I'm very curious to see what this will lead to in terms of the Danmachi world, because the whole world is centered around the dungeon, or at least in particular in Ororio, right? The world is centered around the dungeon, which revolves around killing monsters. So if we discover that monsters are sentient, is it really humane to be going around killing monsters in these dungeons? So it's going to be interesting to see like what are the greater implications on the world if we discover that monsters are more sentient than we thought. And we see that probably the bigger conflict of the arc is illegal monster trafficking, which the Hermes Familia is actually investigating as well. So we'll have to see where that goes. So yeah, what did you so closing thoughts on this episode, Tony?
I really enjoy the things presented in this episode because it pretty much did a lot of things that Danmachi does best.
Yep.
Does presenting its plot and premise just right quick, and introducing a new character to add to the cast, because Vine is adorable. Yep. I really adore like this character so much.
Also, something that I did not notice before because I only started playing FGO, last year or early this year, because I didn't play it when season 2 came out, so I never noticed this. But now that I've played FGO, like Mikoto, the Japanese member of the Hestia Familia, she looks and acts exactly like FGO's version of Ushi Wakamaru. I'm just like, oh my god, you're basically Ushi. This is great. It's so good. So good. I love every member of the Familia, man. I like that Lily is so, like, cautious and untrusting. And she's like, I know Bell means well and he's a nice dude, but, like, we can't all be so optimistic. We gotta keep on our guard. Even if we want her to be good and wholesome and she's cute, we gotta be careful in case shit happens. Um,
Hmm.
I like her more pragmatic attitude because you do need that within the group. Um, Wealth, as always, is awesome. And again, like you mentioned before, Hestia's character growth was pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie, didn't expect that. Um, but yeah, so the next show I want to talk about is a bit of a nostalgic one for me, and I'm sure for you as well, because we both grew up around the same time. Um, I want to talk about Yashahime, Half Demon Princess, the sequel series to Rumiko Takahashi's classic shonen series Inuyasha.
Which, coincidentally, I haven't checked out yet.
Oh, it's cool. Honestly, this is more of a zero episode because, like, this episode in particular was more like 90% an Inuyasha episode with like 10% like small bits of the new characters here and there.
I mean, just tell me the plot synopsis so I can actually be more.
Okay, so essentially in this episode, we see like post epilogue Inuyasha and Miroku going on a demon hunt to basically help save this village that is being attacked by a demon. And it turns out that this demon is a demon that was sealed away by Kikyo shortly before she met Inuyasha. This demon's name is Rockhead, and Rockhead apparently like absorbs nutrients from the decapitated heads of humans, and it's like this weird like root monster that like attaches shrunken heads to itself. It's pretty fucking creepy. And so it's going on a rampage looking for the Shikon Jewel, and Inuyasha and the rest of the crew are like, "Hey, you fucking dumbass! The Shikon Jewel has been destroyed for a long time. It's not here." But anyway, it doesn't stop him from going on a rampage. We get to see the old crew in action. Miroku feels kind of useless because with Naraku dead, obviously the curse has been lifted from him, so he no longer has the wind tunnel. So he has to just beat people with a stick and use sealing talismans. While like Sango has still has Hiroket's her trusty boomerang. Sango looking sexy as ever. Now she's officially a MILF. She's got like 3 kids. Um,
Damn.
because Miroku is like, yeah, I want at least 8. So we're gonna get to work, and they definitely got to work. They've got twin girls and a little boy. Um, it was pretty cool because there was a portion of the fight where Sango literally had the kid and a baby Bjorn and was still kicking ass, but then was like, "Oh, Kohaku, you're here. Go watch the baby real quick." But yeah, that was pretty cool. We got to see Kagome and Inuyasha, fight together. It just felt like a classic Inuyasha episode, really. But interspersed throughout, like in the beginning and at the end, we get to see Toa Higurashi, who is one of Shishomaru's daughters. She actually looks more like Shishomaru, but from what we can infer, it seems like she was raised in the modern era, and she obviously has the last name Higurashi, which is Kagome's last name, so it looks like she was raised in the present day by Kagome's younger brother Sato. And if you know the ending of Inuyasha, Kagome doesn't actually go back to the modern era. She stays in feudal Japan to be with Inuyasha forever. So like we don't actually know how the fuck Shishomaru's daughter, one of them ended up in the modern era while the other one stayed in regular feudal Japan. But anyway, they're reunited, and we see that they're a demon hunting team with Inuyasha's daughter Mohara. I feel like that's how you say her name. But she has like Kagome's looks, but Inuyasha's wild personality. She seems pretty fun. She's got her own katana, but it's not like the exact same as Tetsaiga. And then you have Shishomaru's other daughter, Setsuna, who has like the demon hunter outfit that Sango has on. And oddly enough, she looks a little bit like Rin, the little girl that used to follow Shishomaru around. And I really hope that doesn't mean what I think it means, because Shishomaru, if that's the case, you're nasty. But we'll have to find out, because apparently, like, episode 2 is gonna explain how the fuck the two twins got separated and then reunited eventually. So like I said, this episode was not really an episode 1, but more of just like a, hey, y'all remember Inuyasha? Here's a little bit more of Inuyasha stuff with a little bit of a teaser for what's gonna happen with these kids. Because we still don't know where the fuck Inuyasha and Kagome are gonna be in the present day, 2020. Or, I say 2020 in air quotes because obviously it's not 2020 for them. But, in the present day, as far as that timeline goes, we don't know where the fuck they are, because in the plot synopsis, it seems like their daughter lives by herself. So I don't know what happened there. Again, we'll likely find out more about it in the second episode, but this one just felt more like a classic Inuyasha adventure. So if you dig Inuyasha and you feel nostalgic for that, definitely watch this first episode. I want to watch this because I was a big Inuyasha fan. Inuyasha was the first manga I ever read, so I'm definitely gonna check it out. I have obviously big fears about this show because Boruto is a thing that exists, unfortunately, and I hope that, Yashihime does not go down this route, but it very well could. Hopefully, Rumiko Takahashi is actually involved in this. I don't know the extent of her involvement, but I hope she's at least involved, so that this doesn't go off the rails. But I'm still, very interested. Obviously, I love the world, I love the characters, so I'm definitely going to check it out. I'm going to continue it. If it gets bad, it gets bad. I'll drop it. But I'm going to give it at least my standard 3. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Yashihime.
Fair enough. And if there's anything I want to try, I might give it a shot, all things considered.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it just for like nostalgic purposes, and like I said, if it gets garbage, at least I have something to make fun of this season. But yeah, so I guess the last show we can talk about is Jujutsu Kaisen. Man, I've been really excited for this one because I've been reading this one in Jump since it came out, and it did not disappoint me at all. The opening is a straight banger. Even the animation in the opening is clean. Obviously, I only watched the openings in the first episode, and from then on I skip. But yeah, this opening was pretty dope. It's a pretty basic setup episode, and simple premise, but man, they execute it really well, and it definitely fits the vibe of like spooky season. But since I talked about Yashihime, I'll go ahead and let you take over for Jujutsu Kaisen.
Well, Jujutsu Kaisen, first of all, I want to say this. This was a show that I wasn't too invested in, but as I started watching it, I was like, well, damn, I'm impressed.
Yep.
And so the basic plot synopsis, character names for this show are going to be difficult. Our main lead's name is
Yuji Itadori.
Itatori?
Yeah, Yuji Itadori. Yeah.
Yuji Itadori, okay. So Yuji is, kind of an average shonen protagonist at the start of the story, where we're to the concept of curses and how souls that have taken their lives out of shame, sorrow, or what have you.
I was gonna say, you said average. This man is a fucking superhuman.
I'm saying at the start.
Oh.
Saying at the start. It was just my.
Oh, gotcha.
It off as an average
at
the beginning. Like the star athlete that doesn't give a damn about actually participating in sports. And so, well, at the start of the show, we see him pretty much being interrogated by a dude in a blindfold. And we get to learn more about like the ramifications of that and how cursed objects tend to create more curses. And curses themselves are kind of, well, since you read the source material, you can explain it a little bit
Yeah,
better than I
so
could.
yeah, so
But
basically, right, curses in this universe are essentially evil spirits, but also a like condensed collection of negative energy created by, obviously evil spirits and just generated naturally by humans in general, by, of course, avarice, greed, the normal stuff. Um, and they kind of like gain power through negative energy and emotions and feed off of that and off of humans in general. Which is how all the different yokai are made, and all the different yokai are technically classified as curses in this universe.
okay, that makes a little more sense. So Yuga is so attached to the occult club of his school, or the student council president's like, you motherfuckers are stupid. Like, do you really think that your research club actually puts out any like information that actually makes sense? Nah, you're gonna get disbanded because technically you have two members. Why are you even here?
Yeah. No, I
And
and I love like Yuji's reasoning, right? He's just like, I like the vibe here, man. Like, I don't want to be in fucking sports. Like, then I'm gonna have to stay at practice, do conditioning, and all that bullshit. With this club, I just get to hang out with some fun people, be done at a certain time, and go home and do nothing.
then the coach is like, no, I signed you up for track and field, bitch. If
Yep.
you could beat me, then I'll let you leave.
And then Yuji is like, all right, bet. And
And he
he
did.
proceeds to flex on this man so hard.
Yeah. He flexed on him so hard that the man just froze, and a lot of the kids were like pulling pranks and like, "Hey, or hold all this shit."
Yep. And
Getting so
at first they start cheering on the coach, and then once Yuji like does his first task, they just flip and they're just like Itadori, Itadori.
oh no,
Uh,
this man fucking yeeted a shot put ball.
yeah, like a fucking baseball. He threw it like a pitcher.
Yeah, and the track and field coach threw it at about 14 feet.
Yeah, well, 14 meters. Yeah.
Oh, it's like the world record. It equated to feet because we're filthy Westerners.
Yep.
And then Yuji threw it 30 meters,
Yep.
higher than the record.
Yep. And he just flexed hard on him. It's just like, well, guess I'm staying in the occult club now. And then we find out that like we see a member of this the jujitsu organization, and he is searching for a particular cursed object that is at this school. It's a sealed human finger, and it turns out that the members of the occult club actually found said finger and are planning to remove the talisman from the finger because apparently the two other members of the occult club are dumbasses,
And also scaredy cats.
which checks out because usually the dumbasses are the scaredy cats.
I mean, Yuji himself pretty much lays out like, hey, you two may like this stuff, but y'all are scared, so you guys like crowd around me when we go investigate shit.
Yep. But so the investigator from the jujitsu organization, he like enters the school. Obviously the members of the occult club remove the seal. Shit starts going ham, and man, the visuals in this show, holy shit!
Oh,
Like
they are stellar and fucking creepy. I love it.
Homeboy, I felt bad for Homeboy, like the male member of the club. He got fucking eaten.
Like he was getting nommed on pretty hard by like this fucking yokai.
Yep. And then
And I feel
luckily,
bad for the girl because she got groped by multiple hands.
oh yeah, but luckily like Yuji was able to like fucking superhero swoop in through the window and save his senpai, or at least one of his senpais. Um
Both of them. You
um
say both.
and then you know, the member of the jujitsu organization, because I don't think he was named in this episode, so I'm just not gonna mention his name yet. Um, he summoned his doggo familiars, and they try to help out, but just not really doing anything.
And then he tried to summon a new one. That's pretty dope.
Yep,
But he got mollywopped by this monster hard because we noticed in the episode that he kind of picked on the like he kind of like detected this feature,
yep,
and it came back to basically wreck shop after Yuji took out the fucking multiple hands beast.
yep. And so
We
Yuji,
forgot
so,
the
so,
one thing that
so Yuji and this dude kind of tag team to try and take down a bigger monster. But then Yuji ends up getting overwhelmed. And to stop the monster from taking the sealed finger, Yuji's like, well, you know what? If they can eat these things to get stronger, fuck it, let's do it. So he eats the finger, and he ends up getting like supercharged with curse energy, and then possessed by an evil spirit. However, because he's a stubborn asshole, just like his Gramps, which by the way, earlier in the episode, his grandpa died and gives him the advice to save as many people as he can, help as many people as he can, so that he doesn't die alone, bitter and angry like his Gramps.
yeah, I was about to mention like his grandpa is a stubborn old fuck, but I like her too.
Yep.
So learning.
But yeah, I definitely appreciate the sentiment and the lesson. And so at the end, he, obviously beats the shit out of the monster. But then, the spirit starts to take over his body and is like about to go ham and like unleash havoc on the world. But then Ryuji's like, hey asshole, this body isn't yours. Give it back. And he's just like, wait, how are you still conscious? This is my body now. And Yuji's like, no, the fuck it's not. And then, he's like, wait a minute, you're suppressing me. How the fuck is this happening? And then, he manages to suppress the curse demon. And so the dude from the jujitsu organization takes this opportunity to be like, well, in the name of the jujitsu organization, I am Yuji Itadori, I will now exercise you as a curse. And so now he's about to, quote unquote kill Yuji, but we know how this works. Since Yuji can actually tame the curse within him to an extent and use that power to help people, he is going to be accepted into a special school where he gets trained on how to use curse energy and curse powers, and basically trained to become a professional exorcist / demon hunter. That's the basic premise of the show. It's a nice setup episode, and trust me, it gets crazier and crazier from here. So yeah, Tony, what did you think of it overall?
I really enjoyed this first episode. There's a lot of like jump series that I don't watch a whole lot, and this one really caught when you brought it to the forefront. I'm like, okay, I'll check this out, and I was like very surprised.
I'm pretty picky when it comes to my like manga selection. So if a manga stands out enough where I'm like, oh, this is the shit, Like you know, it's got to be at least like pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Doctor Stone really impressed me, and I'm looking forward to its second season.
Oh man,
So,
we're getting the Stone Wars arc, baby! Oh, it's gonna be so fucking awesome.
I mean, but to the Juju Kaisen, Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, this show, I really like the concepts behind it because, as someone who's really into horror, it's something that's kind of in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I really enjoy it just for the like the scary factor, the monster designs especially are
I
almost like
mean,
Ito esque, which I appreciate.
since it is October, it is spooky month time.
Yep. And like
So,
I know a lot of people like when they read the premise they compared this to Blue Exorcist, but trust me, this is not like Blue Exorcist. It's a lot darker than I expected a Jump series to be. It's not necessarily like within like the seinen territory, but it definitely rides that line very well. Like it doesn't pull its punches just because it's in Shonen Jump.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to more, of course.
I'm looking forward to it as well
All right,
because it
cool.
really impressed me.
So, do we have anything else that we want to cover for the rest of the podcast, or do you want to just get into plugs and such?
I think we should just get into plugs and just get into that bit of nonsense
All right, cool.
because fair,
Uh,
since our shows are pretty much in the thumbnail and like the image for like
yeah, yeah.
the
So yeah,
entirety of the program, so
as
they
you
can
can
actually read.
see as you can see my YouTube channel is linked in the image you're seeing right now. And Tony will leave a direct link in the description. My channel is, of course, Jay's Chaldea. I post Fate Grand Order content as well as anime reviews. I've done reviews for all the episodes that I've talked about. Currently, Jujutsu Kaisen and Yashahime are processing as of the recording of this video, but by the time you see this, they'll probably be up. So definitely give those a watch. And like I said, I do a bunch of Fate content, which, you know, Tony is regularly a part of because, like, Tony, for some reason, is, like, a crazy good luck charm. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't question it. But if I ever really need something from the Gacha gods, I just summon Tony.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely check that out if you're into any of that stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. Like I said, the fall season is kicking off like on a very strong foot. I'm really looking forward to checking out that Tonakawa Fly Me to the Moon. The way you described it, it seems very adorable, and I'm
Yeah.
super interested.
Show, I know Jordan would fucking hate
Oh, Jordan's
it.
definitely gonna hate it, which is why you know I'm gonna like it. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I need an explanation.
To what? To what?
There's this new meme pose that artists are doing these days
Uh huh.
where bitches are just doing stretches. When did this
I haven't
start?
seen that meme format.
Oh no. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna send you an image of Koji doing it.
But yeah, so you know, meme talk aside, this has been a great
It's like,
episode. So we'll catch you guys next week.
yep.
All right. Until then, peace, y'all.
Peace.